Hello. Okay, so we're gonna be reading the Bible, NIV, um chapter 34, verse 1. Why am I in chapter 33? Pretty sure it should be that. Verse 1. Now, Dinah, the daughter Leah, had born to Jacob, went out to visit the woman of the land. When verse 2. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, the ruler of that area, saw her, he took her and raped her. Verse 3. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. Verse 4. And Shechem said to his father Hamor, get me this girl as my wife. Verse 5. When Jacob heard that his daughter Dinah had been defiled, his sons were in the fields with his livestock, so he did nothing about it until they came home. Verse 6. Then Shechem's father Hamor went out to talk with Jacob. Verse 7. Meanwhile, Jacob's son had come in from the fields as soon as they heard what had happened. They were shocked and furious because Shechem had done an outrageous thing in Israel by sleeping with Jacob's daughter, a thing that should not be done. Verse 8. But Hamor said to them, my son, Shechem has his heart set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife. Verse 9. Intermarry with us, give us your daughter, and take our daughters for yourselves. Verse 10. You can settle among us. The land is open to you. Live in it, trade in it, and acquire property in it. Then Shisham said to Dinah's father and brothers, let me find favor in your eyes, and I will give you whatever you ask. Verse 12. Make the price of for the bride and the gift I am to bring as great as you like, and I'll pay whatever you ask me. Only give me the young woman as my wife. Verse 13. Because their sister Dinah had been defiled, Jacob's sons replied deceitfully as they spoke to Shechem and his father Hamor. Verse 14. They said to them, we can't do such a thing. We can't give our sister to a man who is not circumcised. That will be a disgrace to us. Verse 15. We will enter into an agreement with you on one condition only, that you become like us by circumcising all your males. I forgot to. By circumcising all your males. Okay, verse 15, 16. Verse 16. Then we will give you our daughter and take your daughters for ourselves. We'll settle among you and become one people with you. Verse 17. But if you go, wait, but if you will not agree to be circumcised, we'll take our sister and go. Verse 18. Their proposal seemed good to Hamor and his son Shechem. Verse 19. The young man, who was the most honored of all his father's family, lost no time in doing what they said, because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. Verse 20. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of their city to speak to the men of their city. Verse 21. These men are friendly towards us. They said, them live in our land and trade in it. The land has plenty of room for them. We can marry their daughters and they can marry ours. Verse 22. But the men will agree to live with us as one people only on the condition that our males be circumcised as themselves are. As they themselves are. Verse 23. Won't their livestock, their property, and all their other animals become ours? So let us agree to their terms, and they will settle among us. Verse 24. All the men who went out of the city gate agreed with Hamor and his son Shechem, and every male in the city was circumcised. Verse 25. 3 days later, while all of them were still in pain, two of Jacob's sons, Simon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and attacked the unsuspected city, killing every male. What? Verse 26. They put Hamor and his son Shechem to the sword and took Dinah from Shechem's house and left. Isn't that unfair? Well, hmm. Verse 27. The sons of Jacob came upon the dead bodies and looted the city where their sister had been defiled. Verse 28. They seized their flocks and herds and donkeys and everything else of theirs in the city and out in the fields. Verse 29. They carried off all their wealth and all their women and children, taking as plunder everything in the house. Verse 30. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, You have brought trouble on me by making me obnoxious to Canaanites and Perizzites, Perizzites, the people living in this land. We are few in number, and if they join forces against me and attack me, and my household will be I and my household will be destroyed. Verse 31. But they replied, Should he have treated our sister like a prostitute? I mean, society and such. I'm not gonna say anything. It's a long old history. This is a very old history that is not applicable to modern society, except for some stuff. You can still see it there. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Chapter 35. Jacob returns to Bethel. Verse 1. Then God said to Jacob, go up to Bethel and settle there, and build an altar there to God who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau. Verse 2. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, get rid of the foreign gods you have with you, and purify yourselves and change your clothes. Verse 3. Then come, let us go up to Bethel, where I will build an altar to God, who answered me in the day of my distress and who has been with me wherever I have gone. Verse 4. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had and the rings in their ears, and Jacob buried them under the oak at Shechem. Verse 5. Then they set out, and the terror of God fell on the towns all around them, so that no one pursued them. Verse 6. Jacob and all the people with him came to Luz, that is Bethel, in the land of Canaan. Verse 7. There he built an altar, and called the place El Bethel. Oh wait, no, that's not it. Because and he called the place Bethel, because it was there that God revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. Verse 8. Now Deborah, Rebecca's curse, Rebecca's nurse, died and was buried under the oak outside Bethel. So it was named Alon Bakuth. Verse 9. After Jacob returned from Padan Aram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. Verse 9. God said to him, your name is Jacob, but you will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel. So he named himself Israel. Verse 11. And God said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase in numbers. A nation and the community of nations will come from you, and kings will be among your descendants. Verse 12. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you. Verse 13. Then God went up from him at the place where he had talked with him. Verse 14. Jacob set up a stone pillar at the palace where God had talked with him, and he poured out a drink offering on it. He also poured oil on it. Verse 15. Jacob called the place where God had talked with him Bethel. The deaths of Rachel and Isaac. Verse 16. Then they moved on from Bethel. While they were still some distance from Ephrat, Rachel began to give birth and had difficulty. Verse 17. And as she was having great difficulty in childbirth, the midwife said to her, don't despair, for you have another son. Verse 18. As she breathed her last, for you, she was dying, she named her son Ben Oni, but his father named him Benjamin. Verse 19. So Rachel died and was buried on the Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Verse 20. Over her tomb Jacob set up a pillar, and to this day that pillar marks Rachel's tomb. Verse 21. Israel moved on again and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. Verse 22. While Israel was living in that region, Reuben went in and slept with his father's concubine Bilhah, and Israel heard of it. Jacob had 12 sons. Verse 13. The son of Leah, Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. Verse 24. Verse 24. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rachel's servants, Bilhah, Dan, and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's servant, Zilpah, Gad, Gad, and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padam Aram. Verse 27. Jacob came home to his father Isaac in Mamre, near Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had stayed. But verse 28. Isaac lived 180 years. Verse 29. Then he breathed his last and died and was gathered to his people, old and full of years. And his son Esau and Jacob buried him. Jacob as in Israel. Hmm? Oh, I forgot to say verse 29, I guess. I'll be back. Okay. Verse 36. Esau's descendants. Verse 1. Chapter 36. Verse 1. This is the account of the family line of Esau, that is Edom. Verse 2. Esau took his wives from the women of Canaan, Ada, daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Oholibamah, daughter of Anna, and granddaughter of Zibeon the Hivite. Verse 3. Also Basemath, daughter of Ishmael and sister of Nebialth. Verse 4. Ada bore Elibas to Esau. Basemath bore Reuel. Verse 5. And Oholibamah bore Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau who were born to him in Canaan. Give me a second. And moved to a land some distance from his brother Jacob. Verse 7. Their possessions were too great for them to remain together. The land where they were staying could not support them both because of their livestock. Verse 8. So Esau, that is Edom, settled in the hill country of Seir. Verse 9. This is the account of the family line of Esau, the father of the Edomites in the hill country of Seir. Verse 10. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Esau's wife, Ada, and Reuel, the son of Esau's wife, Basemath. Verse 11. The sons of Eliphaz, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. So that's, I think, where I heard Kenaz Kijus or something. Verse 12. Esau's sons, Eliphaz also had a concubine named Thimina, who bore him Amalek. These were grandsons of Esau's wife Ada. Verse 13. The sons of Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were grandsons of Esau's wife Basmath. Verse 14. Wa- the sons of Esau's wife Holibamah, daughter of Anna and granddaughter of Zibeon, whom she bore to Esau, Jish, Jaram, and Korah. Verse 15. These were the chiefs among Esau's descendants, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, chiefs Teman, Omar, Zipho, Kenaz. Verse 16. Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These were the chiefs descended from Eliphaz in Edom. They were grandsons of Ada. Verse 17. The sons of Esau's son, Reuel, chiefs, Nahath, Zerah, Shema, and Mizah. These were the chiefs descended from Reuel in Edom. They were grandsons of Esau's wife, Basemath. Verse 18. The sons of Esau's wife, Oholibamah, chiefs, Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These were the chiefs descended from Esau's wife, Oholibamah, daughter of Anna. Verse 19. These were the sons of Esau, that is, Edom, and these were their chiefs. Verse 20. These were the sons of Seir the Horite, who were living in the region. Lotan, Shobal, Zibion, Anna. Verse 21. Dishon, Ezer, and Dishon, or Lishan. These sons of Seir in Edom were Horite chiefs. The sons of Lotan, Horai, and Homam. Tim, Timnah was Lotan's sister. The sons of Shobal, Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepo, and Onam. Verse 24. The sons of Zibion, wait, what? Aya, and Dana. This is the Anna who discovered the hot springs in this desert while he was grazing the donkeys of his father Zibion. Verse 25. The children of Anna, Dishon and Oholibamah, daughter of Anna. Verse 26. The sons of Dishon, Heradan, Eshban, Ithra, and Keran. The sons of Ezer, Bela, Zavan, and Akan. Verse 28. The sons of Dishan, Uz, and Aran. Verse 29. These were the Horite chiefs: Lotan, Shobal, Zibion, Anna. Verse 30. Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These were the Horite chiefs according to their divisions in the land of Seir. The ruler of Edom. Verse 31. These were the kings who reigned in Edom before any Israel king reigned. Verse 32. Bela, son of Beor, became king of Edom. His city was named Dinaba. Verse 33. When Bela died, Jacob, son of Zerah from Bozrah, succeeded him as king. Verse 34. When Jacob died, Husham from the land of the Temanrites succeeded him as king. Verse 35. When Husham died, Hedan, son of Bedad, who defeated Midan in the country of Moab, succeeded him as long as where is it? Where the hell did I get? I'll go verse 34. When Jacob died, Husham from the land of the Temanites succeeded him as king. Verse 35. When Husham died, Hadad, son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, succeeded him as king. His city was named Avith. Verse 36. When Hadad died, Hamish from Masrekah succeeded him as king. Verse 37. When Shemla died, Shaul from Rehoboth and the river succeeded him as king. When Shaul died, Baal Hanan, son of Akbor, succeeded him as king. Verse 29. When Hanan, son of Akbor, died, Hadad succeeded him as king. His city was named Pau, and his daughter's name was Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mesabhab. Verse 40. These were the cities descended from Esau by name according to their clans and regions: Tina, Alva, Jetheth. Verse 41. Oholibama, Ela, Pinon. Verse 42. Kenaz, Teman, Mibzar. Verse 43. Magdiel and Hiram. These were the chiefs of Edom according to their settlements in the land they occupied. This is the family of Esau, the father of Edomites. I see. I'll be right back to continue reading the Bible. This is interesting. Okay, continuing on chapter 37, Joseph's dreams. Verse 1. Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. Verse 2. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was attending the flocks with his brothers, the son of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Now is verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age, and he made an ornate robe for him. Verse 4. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Verse 5. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. Verse 6. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had." Verse 7. Where we were binding sheaves of grain out in the field, when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. Verse 8. His brother said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Verse 9. Then he had other then he had then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. "Listen," he said. "I had another dream, and this time the sun and moon and the 11 stars were bowing down to me." Verse 10. When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" Okay. Is that a question or a book? Rebuke. Hmm. Verse 11. His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Joseph sold by his brothers. Oh, it's this story. Verse 12. Now his sons, brothers, had gone to graze their father's flocks near Shechem. Verse 3. And Israel said to Joseph, "As you know, your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, I am going to send you to them." "Very well," he replied. Verse 14. So he said to them, "Go and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me." Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived at Shechem, verse 15, a man found him wandering around in the fields and asked him, "What are you looking for?" Verse 16, he replied, "I am looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks?" Verse 17, "They had moved on from here." The man answered, "I have heard them say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Verse 19, "Here comes that dreamer," they said to each other. Verse 20. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these citizens, or one of the cisterns, and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. Verse 21. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let's not take his life, he said. Verse 22. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern here in the wilderness. But don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. I see. Verse 23. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing. Verse 24. And they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty, there was no water in it. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Verse 26. Judah said to his brother, What? There's another Judah? I never knew that. I need to check. There's another Judah. There is. That's cool. That's that's interesting. Okay. Oh yeah, cistern. Yeah, somewhat like a well. Verse 26. Judah said to his brothers, What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Verse 27. Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hand on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. His brothers agreed. Well, they should. Verse 28. So when the Midianite merchant came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. Verse 29. When Reuben returned to the cistern and saw that Jacob was not there, he tore his clothes. Verse 30. He went back to his brother and said, The boy isn't there. Where can I turn now? Verse 31. Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered the goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. Verse 32. They took the ornate robe back to their father and said, We found this. Examine it to see whether it is your son's robe. Verse 33. He recognized it and said, It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured them. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces. Verse 34. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. Verse 35. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. No, he said, I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave. So his father wept for him. Verse 36. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of the Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. Man, I remember this story. Very, very long ago. 10 years from now? Chapter 38. Judah and Tamar. Verse 1. At the time, Judah left his brothers and went down to stay with a man of Adullam named Hira. Verse 2. There, Judah met the daughter of a Canaanite man named Shua. He married her and made love to her. Verse 3. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son who was named Er. Verse 4. She conceived again and gave birth to a son and named him Onan. Verse 5. She gave birth to still another son and named him Shelah. It was at KJB that she gave birth to him. Verse 6. Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. Verse 7. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight. So the Lord put him to death. Verse 8. Then Judah said to Onan, sleep with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother in law, to raise up offspring for your brother. Verse 9. But Onan knew that the child would not be his, so whether he slept with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from providing offspring for his brother. Okay, like the lineage of Judah really is all sorts of messed in their head. Verse 10. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death also. I mean, yeah. Verse 11. Judah then said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, live as a widow in your father's household until my son Shelah grows up, for he thought he may die too, just like his brothers. So Tamar went to live in her father's household. Verse 12. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went up to Timnah to the man who was shearing his sheep, and his friend Hira the Adulamite went with him. Verse 3. When Tamar was told, your father in law is on his way to shear his sheep, she took she took off her widow's oh to shear his sheep. Verse 14. Verse 14. She took off her widow's clothes, covered herself with a veil to disguise herself, and then sat down at the entrance to Enaim. Enaim? Enaim, which is on the ground, which is on the road to Timnah. For she saw that though Shelah had now grown up, she had not been given to him as his wife. Verse 15. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face. Verse 16. Not realizing that she was his daughter in law, he went over to her by the roadside and said, come now, let me sleep with you. Uh-huh. And that and what will you give me to sleep with you? She asked. Verse 17. I'll send you a young goat from my flock, he said. Will you give me something as a pledge until you send it? She said. Verse 18. He said, what pledge should I give you? Your seal and its cord and the staff in your hand. She answered. So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. Verse 19. After she left, she took off her veil and put on her widow's clothes again. Verse 20. Meanwhile, Judah sent the young goat by his friend, the Adullamite, in order to get his pledge back from the woman. But he did not find her. Verse 21. He asked the man who lived there, where is the shrine prostitute who was beside the road at Enaim? There hasn't been any shrine prostitute here, they said. Verse 22. So he went back to Judah and said, I didn't find her. Besides, the man who lived there said there hasn't been any shrine prostitutes here. Verse 23. Then Judah said, let her keep what she has, or we will become a laughing stock. After all, I did send her this young goat, but you didn't find her. Verse 24. About 3 months later, Judah was told, your daughter in law, Tamar, is guilty of prostitution, and as a result, she is now pregnant. Judah said, bring her out and have her burned to death. Yep, that's, bro. Like, seriously, like, this is crazier than fiction. I, I love this. It's really gory. Verse 25. As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father in law. I am pregnant by the man who owns this, she said, and she added, see if you recognize whose seal and cord and staff these are. Verse 26. Judah recognized them and said, she is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't have given since I will give her to my son Shelah. Okay. And he did not sleep with her again. Verse 27. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. Verse 28. As she was giving birth, one of them put out his hand, so the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it on his wrist and said, this one came out first. Verse 29. But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out. And she said, so this is how you have broken out. And he was named Perez. Verse 30. Then his brother, who had scarlet thread on his wrist, came out, and he was named Zerah. Okay, that's interesting. I'll be back again. Okay, I'm back. Verse 39. Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Chapter 39. Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Verse 1. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the capital captain of the guard, bought him from Ishmaelites who had taken him there. Verse 2. The Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. Verse 3. When his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord gave him gave him success in everything he did. Verse 4. Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. Verse 5. From the time he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. Verse 6. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. 7. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." Verse 8. But he refused. "With me in charge," she told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Uh, Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care." Verse 9. "No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" Like, are you thinking that your master is God? Or are you thinking that you should offer your loyalty to God? Oh my goodness. Shut up. Is that what you're thinking about? Verse 10. And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. Verse 11. One day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servant was inside. Verse 12. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. Verse 13. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, verse 14, she called her household servants. "Look," she said to them, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed." What the? Literally. Malice. Too much. Verse 19. When his master heard the story his wife told him, saying, "This is how your slave treated me," he burned with an anger, with anger. Verse 20. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was there in the prison, verse 20, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. Verse 22, so the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was responsible for all that was done there. Verse 23, the warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care, because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. Ooh, that's good responsibility right there. Loyalty and such. I don't need your subscription. This is my final verse. My throat is dying now. Verse chapter 40, the cupbearer and the baker. Verse 1. Sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their master, the king of Egypt. Verse 2. Pharaoh was angry with his two officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Verse 3. And put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, in the same prison where Joseph was confined. Verse 4. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he attended them. After they had been in custody for some time, verse 5, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were being held in prison, had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. Verse 6, when Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw that they were dejected. Verse 7, so he asked Pharaoh's officials who were in custody with him in his master's house, "Why do you look so sad today?" Verse 8, "We both had dreams," they answered, "but there is no one to interrupt them." Oh, no one to interpret them. Then Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." I don't think that's the right way to um read that, but I guess I get the meaning. Verse 9. So the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream. He said to him, "In my dream I saw a vine in front of me." Verse 10. And on the vine were three branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Verse 11. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, squeezed them into the Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup in his hand. Hmm, that's interesting. Verse 12. This is what it means. Joseph said to him, the 3 branches are 3 days. Verse 13. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer. Verse 14. But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to the Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. Verse 15. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon. Verse 16. When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given a favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. Verse 17. The top In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head. Verse 18. This is what it means, Joseph said. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Verse 19. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole, and the birds will eat away your flesh. Verse 20. Now the third day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all his officials. He lifted, he lifted up the bread, or he lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. Verse 21. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position, so that he once again put the cup into the Pharaoh's hand. But he impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had said to them in his interpretations. Verse 23. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. I remember that. That's actually what I remember. I remember that part in the old story that I saw. I think it's an animation. After I finish Genesis, I'm gonna react to the animation of if I remember what it was. Holy Bible. Finished reading NIV. Thank you for, I don't know, people that are not here listening to my learning of the Bible in my own way, reading it. After reading Genesis, I'm gonna watch animations of Genesis and also interpretations or more expanded view from other people that have read it longer than me. Thank you, goodbye, and God bless us. Amen.